whether you're a Timmy's coffee drinker or not, I mean, you know the name. Well, that name, Tim Hortons, is taking a beating today.
It's like hockey in Canada. Tim Hortons in hockey, it's part of the Canadian culture. And to see part of that Canadian culture being soiled is shameful.
There are protests at about 18 Tim Hortons locations across Ontario. Workers at some of the shops are upset about losing employee benefits. The cuts were made by franchise owners after the Ontario government raised the minimum wage. Today's protests were organized by one of the province's biggest labor unions. We've got CBC's Linda Ward standing by live at a protest in Toronto. What are you hearing there, Linda?
Well, Suhanna, lots of people we're seeing who are coming out on their lunch break right now, stopping in at Timmy's for a coffee, being greeted by protesters, being handed flyers, seeing signs being held up in opposition to some cuts that we've been hearing about at certain Tim Hortons franchises across the province. So while they're coming in to get their coffee, they're also getting the message, stop cutting benefits and wages. Now, this all started January 1st. The province raised the minimum wage up to $14 an hour. And then we started seeing some employees from certain Tim Hortons stores coming out saying that they had had paid breaks cut. They had had certain benefits cut, also things like uniform allowances or coffee allowances as well. So that had a lot of people in the labor movement very upset, and some students joining us from the University of Toronto downtown St. George campus today as well. Dante Pettipies will bring you in now. He's got a very clever sign about a very serious issue. Roll up the rim to win fairness. Don't roll back our benefits. It says a lot, but why did you want to come out here today?
Well, quite simply, I'm a student, and like a lot of these people, we're not terribly political people. You know, the minimum wage hike was a really tremendous break to us, and it's really hard to live in this city, and it feels like two steps forward, one step back. Man, we have to deal with this, and a lot of other companies are pulling kind of similar maneuvers, revoking benefits, withholding tips, et cetera, cutting hours, and it's just not fair. It's not right. There's no compassion to it.
Does it change the way that you feel about getting your morning coffee, maybe?
Definitely. I mean, I'm not a huge coffee person. One thing I will say was really disappointing about Tim Hortons specifically, even if you don't get coffee, even if you don't go to Tim Hortons, it's like a Canadian symbol. It's rather emblematic of our country, or at least Ontario, and so it's really especially sad with them to see them behaving this way.
Thank you very much. And I'll let you get back to the protest. Each protest lasting about an hour in length. We did hear some very strong language from the Ontario Federation of Labour this morning, who have been calling on Tim Hortons parent corporation Restaurant Brands International to crack down on the franchisees that have been reportedly taking away these benefits. They say restore them immediately, or they will mount an uprising, a labor uprising like hasn't been seen for many years in this province. Now, we have also heard from Tim Hortons parent company in recent days saying these are the actions of a group of rogue franchisees. They do not reflect the values of the corporation. But we've also then heard as well from some franchisees, and I spoke with one this morning who says she's very upset about she says she feels like she's being treated unfairly by these protests, that she thinks she's treated her employees very well. Other franchisees, speaking through their association, say if Tim Hortons wants to help employees get some of these benefits back, perhaps they can lower some of the costs for their supplies or even raise the price of that cup of coffee, Suhanna.
Thanks for that, Linda. CBC's Linda Ward in Toronto.